12 healthy habits for longevity and weight loss for women over 50. Hey, Sophie here. Got a few things on my kitchen table here because I want to take you through these 12 habits that can make a massive difference to you for your health, for your longevity, for weight release, for belly fat release, the whole 9 yards. So let's get into them. All right, so number one is daylight in your eyes first thing in the morning. I call it daylight before screen light if possible. So many of these things that I'm talking about today, these habits are actually very easy, simple habits to put into place. It doesn't require some sort of crazy finagling and changing your life. It's just easy. So what I mean by that is just try to get daylight, not staring up at the sun or staring up at the sky. It doesn't even have to be sunny. It's just getting some light in your eye. It's what, as human beings, we were naturally designed to do, actually, to live in alignment with the light-dark cycles. And this is our circadian rhythms. And if you wake up and you get actual natural light in your eyes, as opposed to the light from a screen or a phone or a computer or a TV or something like that, it will set your melatonin clock for the rest of the day. So many women that I coach have a really hard time sleeping at night because they're in menopause, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, and that's often when sleep can be disrupted. And so, they're taking supplements and trying to figure it out. But, one of the most powerful things that you can do is to, when you wake up, get this light in your eyes. Now, there are some contraindications if you have glaucoma, if you have macular degeneration, then you obviously have to be careful and wear glasses and dark glasses when you're out and about outside. But everybody else without that condition should be able to get light in your eyes. Now, if it's really dark when you get up, if you get up at 4 or 5 or even 6 in the morning and it's still dark outside, or you live in the Northern Hemisphere where it really most of the year does take a while to get light, then what I say is just get a light therapy lamp. They're very, very inexpensive. I'll link to one in the description to this video. And then you can just wake up and literally press the button on that. It'll flood you with light. You don't stare into the light. You just have the light there as you are going about your business, as you're maybe doing your exercise or doing your yoga or putting on your makeup or making your tea. But either way, that is my first tip, is get daylight, not sunlight, but daylight in your eyes. And if possible, for those of you who don't have macular degeneration or glaucoma, it's better if you're not looking through glass. Okay, if that's all you can do is look through a window, then fine. But it's better if you can not be looking through glass, if you can actually sort of get outside. So for most women I coach, it's just like if weather permitting, we will get out and have a little bit of a walk as early as we can in the morning outside. All right, so that is tip number one, or healthy habit number one. Healthy habit number two is breakfast. So you break your fast and you want to get all these beautiful nutrients in your body when you break your fast. So for breakfast, you want to get in berries in your breakfast as much as possible. I like to get in berries, seeds, and greens in my breakfast, which is why I'm a huge smoothie advocate. But it's not always that I do a smoothie. Sometimes if I am doing an oat groats, which is like an oatmeal, but it's made with oat groats, which are a little bit healthier, then I will add my berries and my seeds to the oat groats, but never goes by a morning where I don't have some kind of berries, because they are so full of antioxidants, and blueberries are your immune systems. You're feeding the sort of front soldiers, the foot soldiers on the front line of your immune system. I always think of it like that. And you want to feed them, and you want to feed them really well, and you want to feed them foods that are very, very high in antioxidants, particularly wild blueberries and or organic blueberries. So I always have giant bags in my freezer. When they're in season, I buy them fresh, so I'll just get fresh organic berries. I actually have organic berry bushes in my garden, but that's a pretty short season. So most of us, unless we live in a food desert, we're fortunate enough that we can buy these frozen berries. And actually, I have to say, I was just shopping just this morning, and the blueberries that were in the store actually look very kind of tired and old. And when fruit isn't at its peak ripeness, it degrades the nutrients, obviously. And so in some cases, it is actually better to buy things like berries frozen at their peak ripeness. Okay, so there's the berries, and I do recommend that you put some seeds in your breakfast every single morning, because one of the healthiest whole fats that you can eat is seeds. So whether that's hemp seed, got a big giant thing of hemp seed here, flaxseed, chia seed, and they're very healthy forms of fat. They're very high in omega-3 fatty acids, and so you want to get those in your system. And they're also pretty high in protein as well. I also use quite a lot of pumpkin seeds, which are full of zinc, and so really good for your immune system too, and very high in protein. So whatever the seeds are, flax, chia, hemp, sesame, pumpkin, sunflower, you choose, but it is a healthy habit to include some seeds, some berries in your breakfast every single morning. And ideally, if you're making a smoothie, you can throw some greens in there too. If you're having some kind of a different breakfast, like let's just say you're having, some of my clients actually have like a vegetable soup for breakfast, which is actually beautiful. Never quite got my head around vegetable soup for breakfast, but some of my clients do. And then they might just have a little serving on the side of a little bowl with some seeds and some berries in it, so that they're getting those nutrients in. Okay, so that's habit number 2. Habit number 3 is a daily 30-minute brisk walk. And when I say brisk walk, I mean you're walking as if you are late for something, or you do the talk test where you're walking so fast that it would be impossible for you to have a conversation. I always think, if my mum called me right now on the phone, would I be able to easily have a conversation? I'd be out of breath, and I'd be going, Mum, I got to call you back. That is what a brisk walk is. Okay, so what I say to everybody is, it's not, oftentimes a walk with a dog won't do it, because certainly my dogs stop and start and pee and sniff and everything, so that's not going to do it. I'm not going to get a 30-minute brisk walk with them. And also, if I'm going walking with my husband or friends, it's more of a leisurely walk. It's lovely, it's a beautiful connection, but it's not that brisk 30-minute walk where I'm really kind of going like the clappers, getting my heart rate up, not into a crazy high zone, but a moderate zone, and a zone known as zone 2. So if you haven't got a tracker and you can't be bothered to track your heart rate, then I think the talk test is a really good way of going, am I in my brisk walk? Ideally 30 minutes. Ideally, you would do it outside. Okay, weather permitting, you would do it outside. And ideally, don't walk with headphones in. It's dangerous to do that anyway, or earpods, or listening to anything, because it's a really good time for you just to get into the rhythm of your heart, your creativity. You can focus. It's your time of working things out. Walking is so incredibly beneficial for different parts of your brain, that it taps into that part of your brain that creates and thinks and plans, and so it's just such an important thing. I have to say that one of my clients who lives in the Northeast, she decided, as part of the program that I lay down for my clients, that she was going to do this very particular walk, which is a version of a 30-minute brisk walk, and she was going to do it every day, and she was absolutely committed. And she's been on a streak now, and her streak, I think she's at like 580 days of a streak now, because for her, it was a complete non-negotiable. She lives in the Northeast. She did it in snow. She did it in 8 foot of snow. She did it in snowshoes. She did it in driving rain. She did it in hot sun. She did it even the day after she had surgery for breast cancer. So there you go. If she can do it, so can you. All right, habit, and it just became a habit for her. It didn't feel right if she didn't do it. And that's what habits are. They're glitchy when you first start them, because you're learning, you're figuring out, you're doing something a little bit different, your neural pathways are kicking in. But repeat, 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 and then it becomes a habit. It becomes entrenched in you, and then it feels really odd if you don't do it. And that is a really good place to be. Then you're not forcing yourself, or it sort of throws all that issue of like, oh, I can't stick to things, and the sort of diet thing out of the window. It never works doing any of that. It's just simply developing these healthy habits every single day, and start by making them small and doable, and then you can always build over time. All right, number 3. We've done number 3. Number 4 is exercise snack. I'm sort of almost taking you through my day. So exercise snack isn't waiting to exercise. It's not like I'll exercise when I go to the gym, or when I work with my trainer, or when I can get to that class. All of that is great and fantastic, and do that as much as possible. Any kind of exercise is better than no exercise, and particularly if you're doing things like Pilates and yoga and all kinds of great classes, or playing tennis, or you've got a sport, fantastic. However, we don't always get to do that, right? Life gets very busy, and then it's very easy to put that, oh, I can't make it today, there's too much traffic, it's raining, my trainer's sick, the gym is closed, whatever it is, you know what I'm talking about. So what I say is just get into the habit of exercise snacking, like you would want to snack throughout the day. Exercise snack, and you can find lots of different ways to do this. You could literally go to your kitchen counter right now, and you could do 15 push-ups on the kitchen counter. You can do a wall squat. You can do you could just stand up and do some lunges with a chair to hang on to for balance. And you never want to discount how powerful these exercise snacks, how the compound interest is what I'm trying to say. Because you think when you're doing, okay, I just did 15 counter push-ups against, my kitchen counter, so what? But it's not so what, because if you do that 3 times a day, right, every time you come in and stick your tea kettle on or whatever, that's 30 push-ups you've done that you wouldn't have otherwise done. And then if you're doing that almost every single day, you're going to get very, very strong arms and pectoral muscles. And then you can do that with all kinds of different exercises. I call them functional exercises. But it's a really good habit to start putting into your day, because you just do it throughout the day. And then you don't get to the end of another week going, oh no, I didn't make my workout, or I said I would and I didn't. The key with habits is just do a little bit, do it often, and do it every single day. All right, number 5. Is every single day I have a big, huge salad, almost every single day, bar if I'm traveling or something out of the ordinary is happening. I will always have a very big salad, because in that salad I can get so many of the nutrients I need for longevity, for weight release. It is just my magical salad bowl, and it's a really big bowl, and it has all sorts of different things in it, and I've done lots of different videos about what I eat in a day or what's in my salad bowl, so you can check out some of my videos. But I will tell you what is a non-negotiable for me in this bowl. So I always have lettuce, so I always have I like romaine lettuce. I don't buy lettuces, I try not to, or salad kits, because there have been a lot of recalls with those. They make me very nervous. So I buy lettuces, whole heads of lettuce. It's way less expensive, and I wash it really, really well. Wash it and dry it, and then I just chop it prior to using. So I'll always use a lettuce. Sometimes I'll get a butter lettuce or a red oak lettuce or something. I sort of like to change it up a little bit now and again. But lettuces have very specific nutrients in that you're going to want for your longevity and for your weight release. Then I'll add to that cruciferous veggies. One of my favorite cruciferous veggies is arugula. I love the peppery taste of arugula. It contains nitrates, a very high amount, which is vascular dilation. It literally helps your blood to flow more freely and easily through your veins. And so I'll pile on top of my lettuce, I'll do some cruciferous veggies. If it's not arugula, it might be kale, that's a cruciferous veggie, I'll chop some of that up. It might be some cauliflower, flores, it might be some broccoli. Generally, if it's cauliflower and broccoli, I'll gently steam it a little bit to make it a little bit more digestible, okay? And then I'll start loading in all the other things. But those are the sort of non-negotiable pieces. I always add lots of protein to my salad. I always say you want to eat a really hearty big meal if possible at lunch. So I'll do lentils, I'll do beans, I'll do high protein tofu, I'll do tempeh, but I will load it with protein. I try to get about 20, 30 grams of protein with all the different things I put in, frozen peas, seeds, pumpkin seeds. There's lots of ways. I call it layering in the protein, and you can have a lot of fun doing that. You can get really creative with that. And then the final thing, where's my little container? Even if I'm out and about, I have these little containers full of a dressing, and the dressing it has a nut seed base, okay? Because what you do need to be able to absorb the nutrients in the greens is a fat, right? Because the vitamins and such are fat soluble, so you need a fat. So we don't want to put on glugs of oil. Olive oil can have a place in a healthy diet, extra virgin olive oil, but if you are on a weight loss journey, you probably want to just leave that to one side until you've reached your ideal healthy weight, because it's so high in calories. I did another video on this, but 1 tablespoon of olive oil has, I think it's 120 calories, whereas 10 olives has 40 calories. So it's a very calorically dense food, and I this is something that I feel quite strongly about for women who want to get rid of belly fat, intracellular fat, and they really want, and it's important to them to get to their ideal weight, but you do need fats in there. So I make my dressings from nuts and seeds, and the other thing that you can do is very easily sprinkle seeds. So let's just say you are just using balsamic vinegar and lemon juice or something on your salad, then you could add, a couple of tablespoons of hemp seeds. You could add some avocado, a little avocado, not too much if you're on your weight loss journey, like 1/8 of an avocado, and that will do it. But avocado, hemp seeds, any kind of seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, they are all formed there, and maybe some olives as well. Healthy, whole fats, beautiful. So that is my almost daily salad. I make it, it's just become a habit for me. It almost feels odd if I don't eat it. And then I also add seasonal things to it as well, whatever seasonal things I can find in my farmer's market. So that's number 5. Number 6 is, I want to check that I've got this one tip here. I've got my little list here. Okay, I didn't put this as a separate habit actually, so I'm going to add this habit to the salad habit, is fruit. So having, I eat, I would say 2 to 3 pieces of whole fruit every single day. So that's how I get my sugar. It's super healthy, whole fruits, not fruit juice, but whole fruit, juicy whole fruit. And I have many clients who are type 2 diabetic, many who are pre-diabetic, and they are fine eating whole, healthy fruits. And I like to have a little bit of sweet at the end of every meal. I think our taste buds are sort of designed to be that way, to have, all the different tastes, sour and pungent and sweet. And so I do like it. So I always look for fruit that's in season, or that is readily available in my market, that's really fresh and juicy. And so that could be, I've got this here, I'm just so excited to crack into this one, it's a mango. So it could be mango, it could be papaya, it could be, the list goes on, doesn't it? In the summer, you could do peaches and nectarines and all that. And you want to try and make sure that most of your fruits are organic, a cup of beautiful strawberries or whatever. But really enjoy your fruits. So I either add them to a salad, but very often I'll have it kind of as a dessert, or at night as a dessert as well. But I eat a lot of fruit, so make fruit part of your meal habit too. All right, so next habit is chew slowly, chew very slowly. Okay, and I'm going to add to this habit, allow 20 minutes to eat a meal, or don't allow 20 minutes to eat a meal, but tell yourself that you need to take 20 minutes to eat a meal. Because if you start timing yourself very often, not when you're sitting down with friends and stuff, but in the day, it could be like 10 minutes and it's gone, okay? And that means that you're not chewing properly. So to chew properly really does mean to just take your time, take a few breaths before you sit down and eat. You know, very often we gulp air and that leads to gas and bloating and belching, literally just by gulping a lot of air. So try not to do that. Try to chew very slowly. Chew each mouthful to a kind of liquid, because your digestion starts in your mouth. There are digestive enzymes in your saliva. And if you're not chewing properly, you're not giving that food a chance to really properly digest. And you want to almost pre-digest it in your mouth before it gets down into your stomach. Then you're going to have a much easier time with digestion. And women over 50, our digestive enzymes diminish, our digestive fire slows down. So we want to give our digestive system a helping hand, and we do that by chewing really well. The other thing is about leaving 20 minutes to really slowly digest your food, is that the foods that you're eating, certainly if you're following me, whole food, plant-based foods full of your lovely greens and complex carbs and whatnot, and beans and stuff, they're very powerful because when digested, they will stimulate the release of GLP-1, right? Which is, you've heard of GLP-1 because the agonist is in the weight loss medications like Ozempic, right, which are there to kind of like completely wipe out your appetite. But you can get this natural GLP-1 release just by simply giving the food enough time, right, to reach the GLP-1 receptors, which are further down in your digestive tract. And so that's why you want to go really slow. So when you're having foods like greens and plant-based proteins and all these beautiful foods, just give it time. And you get to 20 minutes, and I promise you, that is when you'll start feeling satiated, okay, because that will kick in. The other thing is, I always say is, you know, and this, you can only do this if you eat slowly and mindfully, is try to eat until you're 80% full. Okay, some of us we've got a habit, I used to be like this, I was really guilty of this, of just eating very, very fast and just kind of almost overstuffing myself, and then I felt uncomfortable. So if you can just stop when you're 80% full and get up from the table. A lot of my clients have to train themselves to do this because they're so used to feeling very full after a meal that sometimes it can translate as, well, am I really full? I don't feel satiated. But if you really sit there with it, if you've done the other pieces that I said, you've chewed properly, you've given it 20 minutes, you're breathing, you're eating slowly, then you're much more likely to be able to hear those hunger cues, okay, or those full cues, I should say. So that's really important. All right, number 7, water. So you need to drink enough water, obviously, throughout the day, at least 6 cups of filtered or distilled water every single day. Make sure that you drink enough. But it's very important to drink water before a meal, quite a lot of water, not during a meal. So I recommend that you try to have a glass of water, what I've got about 8 ounces of water here, about within 20 to 30 minutes before you eat a meal. So if I'm cooking a meal and I think, oh, it's going to be ready in 30 minutes, then I will drink a big glass of water, a big 8-ounce glass of water, because it fires up your digestive enzymes. It's also front loads, because sometimes you think you're ravenously hungry and you're not actually, you just actually need to hydrate. But I wouldn't drink too much water while you're eating. Let your body, digest the foods, and you will have already fired up those digestive enzymes. Okay, that's water. 8. Okay, so this is more of a mindset thing, but as you go through your day, try to make it a habit to listen to your we have our emotions there for a reason, right? And I want you to start trying to make it a habit that you don't ignore, push down, or repress your emotions. And we do that by making wrong, okay? Oh, I'm feeling irritated or sad or jealous or angry or whatever the negative emotion is, but we judge it as being wrong. We judge it as being negative. Well, what if there weren't any negative emotions? What if there are just emotions? And emotion means energy in motion. It means it needs to be felt and acknowledged and validated and processed. It doesn't have to take more than a few seconds, right? For you to just, when things happen and you're triggered into some kind of emotional stress, you're sitting in traffic, somebody cuts you off, you get an email, somebody says something mean to you, Rather than just, keep on going with the day and pushing it down or whatever, just give it a moment. Give it a moment, put your hands on your heart, or just take a few breaths, acknowledge it, validate it. And it's very helpful to say, I am experiencing fear, or I'm experiencing jealousy, or I'm experiencing overwhelm, or I'm experiencing discouragement. Because just by inserting that one word, experiencing, you're taking a step away and you're observing yourself experiencing this. This is called mindfulness, and mindfulness is the first and most important key to actually dealing properly with your stress, okay? Because underlying most of our bad habits is chronic stress. So it's a really big part of what I work on with my clients. But the first step is just to, if you can, just recognize when you're contracted, when you are emotionally stressed, when you're shrinking. Just try to recognize that and give yourself a moment. The more you lean in to that emotion, it can take literally 30 to 60 seconds just to acknowledge and validate it as you would a child who is hurting. You wouldn't just go, just ignore them. You just go, come here. What's going on? Well, I'm feeling this. Okay, well, you're experiencing that. Where are you experiencing? Where are you feeling it? Is it in your tummy? Is it, okay, it's okay. Give them a hug. And then in a second, they're just running off and they've forgotten about that. But we don't do it as adults because we make it wrong. And when we make it wrong, it stays and it goes sideways. Okay? All right. 9. Strength and resistance training. I'm not going to spend long on this, but it needs to be a habit. For women over the age of 50, you can take all the calcium, magnesium, vitamin D supplements you want. You can eat all the protein you want, but you're only going to build strong bones and get beautiful lean muscles through doing resistance and strength training and heavy lifting. I say a minimum of twice a week, and you need to make that a habit. But if you can get in this exercise snacking, per my other habit, then you're going to be going a long way to getting in, because that's body weight, isn't it? Doing counter push-ups. But that is, please make it a habit. Don't ever go a week unless you're really ill or you've got a massive injury and you can't. Never let a week go by without getting at least 2 strength training sessions in. They can literally be 15 minutes as long as you are heavy lifting. You're really challenging your muscles. It's got to be that. Otherwise, it's doing nothing. Or very little, I should say. All right, number 10, food prep. Make sure that you do your food prep. It's a whole thing, isn't it? I could do many videos on food prep, but just keep in your mind to not prepare is to prepare to fail. So I do a lot of meal prep on the weekends. That's the time that I put aside to do it. I love it. I've completely reframed my mindset around it. It used to be like, oh, it's a chore, haven't got time, it's a pain. Now I love doing it. I see it as an act of self-love, self-care. Love for my family as well. I'm much less stressed. So I'll spend quite a lot of time, maybe an hour, sometimes 2 hours, boiling, prepping things like lentils and beans and things that I'm going to eat in the week, all the things that I'll put in my salad. I might do a big pot of quinoa. The key to meal prepping is basically double or triple or quadruple everything that you do. So if you're cooking rice, do 4 times as much rice. Quinoa, 4 times as much. Because if you do that, then you've got it. You can take what you're going to use that week, put it in the fridge, and then you freeze what you're not going to use in little individual containers. So that would be my tip for meal prep is double, triple, or quadruple pretty much everything you're making, and then put what you're not going to be using in the freezer, because you will be so happy when that stuff is in there and you can find it. Okay, 2 more to go. Number 11 is to get 7 to 9 hours sleep every single night, if you can. Okay, when we get older, like over the age of 70 and certainly over the age of 80, we don't need quite so much sleep. So don't start putting that pressure on and making wrong. Some of my clients are like, oh, but Sophie, I'm not. And I'm like, well, let's look at your situation. Let's look at how old you are. Let's look at your lifestyle. Let's look at if you're getting tired in the day. So it's kind of not an enforced rule for everybody, but generally speaking, getting 7 to 9 hours sleep a night is so important for longevity, for weight release, for belly fat release. It's so important. And one of the habits that I've developed in order to do that is go to the bed at the same time every single night. I've trained myself, because that's how you train your circadian rhythms, okay? So you trained it in the morning by getting daylight in the hour, as soon as you can after you wake up, and then in the evening, then you pick a regular bedtime. For me, it's 9:30. I mean, some nights, obviously, if my husband and I are going out or, something happens, it might change a little bit. But for the most part, my body now knows that. My circadian rhythms, my biological rhythms know that 9:30 is the time that I want to be in bed, lights out, probably 15 minutes later after reading a good book in bed. Try not to have any screens, phones, nothing in my bedroom to help me to sleep. And habit number 12 is stop complaining. Stop complaining. Just try it. Just go on a diet of no complaining for the next week and journal every night and go, how many times did I complain? But if you're aware of it, because complaining is a habit, by the way, it's a habit. I had to really call myself on this when I started offering this little tool to clients a few years ago. I had to call myself because I was like, Sophie, you are complaining, it's a habit. And there were certain people that I would complain with. And there's always a reason why underneath we complain. It could be to get validation. It could be to get attention. It could be because sometimes when we complain, hello, social media, everybody's complaining, right? It's a sort of group mentality. It makes us feel we belong if we add complaints to somebody else's complaint, particularly on social media. But just try. Just try for a week to put yourself on a diet of no complaining. Because you will be very surprised at how different you feel. You're like, what? And catching myself. And what could I replace the complaining with? Well, I could replace the complaining with gratitude. And a woman, or a man, but I mainly speak and coach to women, who is grateful, like really grateful. To me, that is the most beautiful anti-aging frequency to live in. Is to be grateful. And of course, we're not forcing positive affirmations and gratitude. We want to find that deep, real gratitude from within. But a really good habit to develop is to stop complaining and realize when you do, just catch it. Just catch it. Go, oh, you don't have to judge it, make yourself wrong, give yourself a hard time. Just go, oh, that's interesting. There I was complaining again. Okay. So what can I replace that complaining with? I can replace it with appreciation. I can replace it with gratitude. Okay? So those are my 12 habits. Let me know if you've got more. I'm sure you've got many more that you would like to add to this. I would love to know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.